Hello and welcome back to the channel. I'm Brittany.
I'm Steven.
And if you missed our new channel trailer for our revamp of our channel, which you can go check out, we decided that we are going to start doing what we're calling a monthly wrap-up. There's a lot of stuff that we watch, play, read during the month that we don't make dedicated videos for that we still want to talk about. So we are going to cover all of those in this type of video. Now, considering this is our first one, we're going to be covering everything that we consumed in September, as well as a little bit more past that, just to catch up on some things that we checked out during the summer and want to talk about.
First up, we're going to jump into some movies that we watched and give our kind of teeny tiny reviews about these movies. And we watched A Simple Favor. We went ahead and rented it. It's all the way out on like VOD at this point. And this stars Anna Kendrick and Blake Lively, and a lot of things happen in this movie. This movie was known for its like twists and turns, and it's a mystery of like what exactly is going on when Blake Lively's character just disappears out of the blue. This movie was hit and miss for me.
It was a fun time. It's not a great movie.
Yeah, and I really actually found like the first 2/3 of the film I actually quite enjoyed and felt was like it was going in a really interesting direction. And then I felt like the third act got crazy and just fell apart and didn't quite know where to go.
As with most like thrillers, like bananas thrillers, yeah, the third act gets absolutely crazy. This is based on a book, I believe, by a French author, and they definitely brought some of those like French aspects into the film. I actually thought it was really well acted. Blake Lively is a gem. Please put her more things. I'm so excited for Rhythm Section. If you haven't watched the trailer for that, have you watched the trailer?
No.
For that? I will show you after this. But I think Blake Lively is underrated. I think she can play a very large range that she hasn't had a ton of opportunity to yet. And Anna Kendrick also played a very different character than what I typically see her play. So it was really fun to see them in those roles that I haven't typically seen. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's a movie I would recommend. But if you're looking for a trashy thriller time, this one might be for you. Next up, we're pivoting genres and moving over into a sci-fi. I guess it's still kind of thrillery, and that is I Am Mother. This is a Netflix original with Hilary Swank, and it's set in a post-apocalyptic setting where robots have essentially supposedly taken over the world, but like it's only focused on this one robot and this one human and their interactions, and you don't quite know what's going on. If the robot's really telling her what's real, the robot is Mother. She's the I Am Mother, mothering this human that she grows from like an embryo that's in storage, and it's very twisty-turny. You don't quite know where it's going for quite a lot of it. I personally don't think it had quite the payoff that I was expecting. It also played with a lot of sci-fi tropes or storylines that I think have been quite overdone. So in the end, it wasn't really something that blew my mind or brought anything new to the table for me personally.
Yeah, I felt like it really set things up for a really interesting twist or something, and then that twist never came, and it just like the third act kind of just like plateaued and stayed where the second act took it. And so it was very disappointing, and we were waiting for something crazy to happen, and then the credits rolled, and we're like, oh. Huh.
Not a total waste of time, but probably shouldn't be at the top of your list if you're looking for a random sci-fi on Netflix.
Then we watched another Netflix film, The Perfection, and this movie was bonkers. So it starts out so, like, pretty par for the course, and then it just starts getting really weird, and I definitely did not expect some of the twists and turns it was going to go, and I actually felt like, despite it not always like making the most sense and having some like holes here and there, I actually quite enjoyed this one, and especially there's some scenes, like the final scene in this film is very like artful, so like, I don't know, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it more than the first two films in terms of thrillers on our list.
I definitely think it's worth a watch if you're interested in crazy out there thrillers with some pretty tough to watch things.
Yeah,
is the best
that's
way
true.
to describe it. I'm trying so hard to not be spoilery. Don't watch the trailer for this. Just go watch it if you're like good to stomach some things and also deal with some like hard-hitting shit and you're interested in something really twisty-turny that you don't quite know where it's going.
I would just offer a trigger warning that if you are like, I don't want to spoil what's in the film, but if you are someone who looks out for those, go ahead and look up this film first, just because maybe you shouldn't go in blind then.
And if you're very interested or hesitant about trigger warnings and want to know specifics, feel free to DM us on Twitter. We are more than welcome to share. So we're gonna move away from the thriller category and move to a completely opposite end and talk about a romantic comedy, and that has always been my maybe. Another Netflix original. We were kind of on a kick there for a while, but this is an Asian actor-led film, which is very cool to see in a romantic comedy. A lot of times we just see the typical white people, so it's nice to have a twist. Also, it has some like stellar comedians in it, and like I love them now. So this is about two people who grew up together and then drift apart and then end up reconnecting as adults, and they're in very different places in their lives, and just kind of a lot of the like reconnecting shenanigans that happen with that. And I found this to be a very heartwarming film. I really liked that a lot of the things were like the typical like dude screws up and then like girl has to forgive him, like that kind of typical romantic comedy reconnection thing was not overly done or really done all that much in this movie, which I quite liked. It was a really good time. I liked it. Do recommend if you like romantic comedies.
From there, we're going to roll into TV shows, and one TV show that we watched a lot of was Schitt's Creek. Now, Brittany started watching this show as like a sick day show, and then, as with most TV shows, one of us is sitting there watching it, and then the other person's like, I'll just sit on my phone while you watch, and then, oh. And then it becomes a show we're both watching, and that is what happened. And then we watched, what, all four?
I think there's four seasons on Netflix currently. There's 5 seasons out.
Yeah, so we blasted through that. And this show is just so heartwarming and fun and enjoyable. I think the cast is excellent. And it's definitely one of those shows that if you just need something like funny and entertaining and good-hearted, that this is a good show to watch.
If you're unfamiliar with it, it is about a family who are very wealthy and then due to circumstances get all of it taken away from them, and due to more weird circumstances have to move to this really tiny podunk town in the middle of nowhere and kind of live like paupers. And hilarity ensues, and all of them are such caricatures that it's just hilarious. And Catherine O'Hare is a gem. I love her so much. Everybody on that show is great. It's just a good like hit you in the comedy feels sitcom. Another show I've been binging, which is very much not a comedy, and that is Shameless, which is interesting because I never thought I would like this show because it's full of unlikable characters, and I typically don't like things that are only full of unlikable characters. I really need somebody to root for. But I'm on like season 6, season 7, and really enjoying it. It's just a lot of people being trashy and terrible, but like they have some redeeming qualities here and there as well. It's an interesting time.
And then another show we watched a little further back was actually Queer Eye season 4. And so they've actually been releasing seasons pretty quickly, like every like 6 months. And season 4, if you like the first 3 seasons, you'll like this one as well. This show is just another like great like palate cleanser show that is just very heartwarming, very uplifting and constructive. I felt like at this point in the show, that whole squad of guys they have all kind of come into their own and figured out how to operate the best, and they're just so good at picking the people that they help most of the time, and it's just such an enjoyable show and a very like interesting take on like a makeover show, because they don't really make over them as much as they really like give them the tools to like improve their life.
One thing I love about this show versus other makeover shows, whether it's a home makeover, person makeover, whatever, is it's very uplifting and very individualized. I feel like a lot of times those shows end up being very cookie cuttery, and it's very clearly done for the money and the views. And obviously that is a factor in this, that is a business. But I genuinely feel like these 5 guys are just so genuine and so caring and really want people to feel better about themselves no matter what that looks like, and they don't try to force their own ideals on them, which I really like. Now, honestly, what we've been spending most of our free time on in the last month or so is video games. A lot of really cool new ones have come out recently, and we have been spending quite a bit of our free time on them, whether individually or together. So the first one I wanted to mention is Plants vs. Zombies 3, which is Battle for Neighborville. I loved Garden Warfare 2 so much, and I have plugged like 300 something hours into that game. It was just my bread and butter for so long. So I've been waiting for this third one for literal years, and I got a text from Steven while I was at work that was like, hey, by the way, this drops in like a month, because I obviously watched the live stream of them announcing it and the gameplay and everything, and then we found out after that it's dropping in like a month. I was like, cool, awesome. But no, it dropped that day, like in early access, so that's all I've been playing, and it's been very fun. If you like Garden Warfare 2 and you are interested in that type of gameplay, I really do recommend it. It's essentially a Call of Duty style, but like a little more kid-friendly and like goofy because it's Plants and Zombies, but it's a lot of fun.
If you like games like Overwatch or third-person shooters, it is a third-person shooter game, but you do have abilities like Overwatch, and it is very class-based, so you want to have like a well-balanced team of people who can do different stuff. And it is a lot of fun for a little cartoony game, and there's actually a crap load of content in this version, and I think you can only get the Founders version for cheaper like this week, and then it goes away. So hop on that, or you're gonna hit that October 18th final release date to pick it up.
It also, they improved a lot of their shooting abilities, or like the way the mechanics work on shooting a lot more to match up with other games like Overwatch, Borderlands, stuff like that. I find that the actual like shooting aspects of it are a lot more accurate to that and not as different from those. So if you're playing those types of games, it would be very easy to switch to these and pick up on it very quickly.
Now, a game that I individually picked up and played was Control. This actually released, I think, at the end of August or mid-August, and after people saying really good things, I scooped it up, and this game is so fascinating. It is like a very weird, like X-Files, fringy style, like sci-fi. It's such a weird game, and I don't know how to describe it, because every time he's like, oh, how's your game going? And I'm like, oh, well, I just jumped into the alternate reality portal into the astral plane to fight this, and it was always something crazy. And I actually really liked the power-based gameplay in this. It's another third-person action game, and just the exploration and the shooting and everything was a lot of fun, and I think it's going to be one of my higher tier experiences for games for the year.
Now, we had another game come out this past month that is the third one in a franchise, and one that we've been waiting for years, and that is Borderlands 3. We've been playing a lot of Borderlands 2 over the last couple of years together, and we are both very excited for Borderlands 3, and it has been excellent. We've been live streaming it every Sunday if you're interested in watching some of the gameplay. But I've been loving it. I love the new characters. I love the new graphics. You have multiple planets that you're going to in this game, which has been super fun and really cool. Each planet is very different and unique. The gameplay's been awesome so far.
Yeah, I felt like they improved enough to really feel like it was leaps and bounds from Borderlands 2. Because, like, for reference, we played Borderlands 2 literally, like, the weekend before this came out. And so it does feel very, like, different, like improved, and a lot of the little things that didn't work quite great in Borderlands 2 work just so much more seamlessly in this one, and I felt like they changed just enough to really feel fresh and new and vastly improved while still staying really true to, I think, that core Borderlands style, that if you enjoy that, you'll definitely enjoy this one. And the last video game on our list is Persona 5. Now, I actually picked this one up on sale. It's been out for a while. I know that Persona 5 Royal, which is like the Game of the Year edition where they're going to be adding a bunch of stuff in, comes out pretty soon, early 2020. But I decided to pick this one up and play. It is a classic JRPG. It is the 5th one in a series going back for, decades now. And this is a lot of fun. I'm only about 20 hours into this like 120-hour game, so I think there's a lot more for me to explore, but it definitely has classic turn-based mechanics and a very unique element between the two in this game, where you actually jump back and forth between kind of social simming to increase your stats and like forming relationships in like class and doing the schoolwork thing, and then also doing like this dungeon crawling turn-based combat style, and it's a lot of fun.
Just watching you play, the gameplay actually reminds me a lot of Kingdom Hearts. Is it similar at all?
It has a similar
graphics.
I think it's just the style. It is a very highly stylized game, very classic like anime style, and I think that adds a lot to the flavor of this game, that it has lots of stylistic elements. Every time someone does something, you get a cool like splash screen of them being like, haha, and then like going and doing it. So it's a lot of fun to play so far, and I'm excited to keep going through it. That is our September wrap up. Like we said, this video is to catch all the things that we don't have time to devote an entire video to, but we still want to shortly kind of talk about, give a brief little review and thoughts. So we're going to be trying to do one of these every month. If you like this format, please comment down below and let us know. Like this video, it really helps us know what you guys like to watch. And subscribe because we have a lot more fun stuff on the way for you, and we'll see you in our next video.